he's ring chasing to catch Michael.
It's funny to me that people that don't have rings are saying, oh, he's ring chasing. No, his continuance chasing.
Shaquille O'Neal just fired straight at Charles Barkley, and LeBron James is caught right in the middle of the smoke. 4 rings against none, 2 Hall of Famers, and one word that turned a basketball debate into something way more personal. But before this is over, Shaq makes a point about his own career that flips the whole argument. And it's something only a player with his resume could really say. Start with Barkley, because he had been building toward this for weeks. Before the reported talk surrounding LeBron and Philadelphia took over the conversation, Barkley had already predicted the exact criticism he believed would follow LeBron wherever he went. He just didn't know Shaq would eventually be the one pushing back.
LeBron, the only way he should go back to Cleveland and finish his career there. If he goes to Philly, people gonna say he's ring chasing to catch Michael.
Then came the Philly storyline. LeBron, 41 years old and entering an unbelievable 24th season, potentially joining another loaded situation. After more basketball than almost anybody has ever played, the names around him were enough to make Barkley's argument explode again. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown. On paper, that's exactly the kind of stacked roster Barkley has spent years criticizing. And the criticism hit fast. Barkley was right there helping drive it, but then Shaquille O'Neal sat down with Stephen A. Smith and came at the issue from a completely different angle. This wasn't some random internet commentator jumping into the drama. This was Shaq. And Shaq didn't defend LeBron with advanced stats. He didn't start comparing eras or pulling out all-time rankings. Instead, he looked at the people making the accusation.
It's funny to me that people that don't have rings are saying, oh, he's ring chasing. No, his continuance chasing. He's chasing the chance to continue to be great, to continue to add legacy to his book.
Charles Barkley doesn't have a championship ring, and even that wasn't the part that made Shaq's response hit hardest. You have to understand who's talking here, because that changes the weight of every word. Shaq won 3 championships in a row with Los Angeles before winning a 4th in Miami. At his peak, he was one of the most physically dominant players basketball had ever seen. And Shaq isn't automatically Team LeBron either. For years, he's criticized the modern NBA, questioned rotations, challenged current players, and made it clear he doesn't hand out respect just because somebody is famous. So when Shaq draws a line, people notice.
I don't like y'all calling my man a ring chaser.
To him, this wasn't about declaring LeBron the GOAT or pretending Barkley doesn't understand basketball. His message was much simpler. Don't call my man that. And that's where this debate gets messy. Everybody wants to turn every LeBron conversation into LeBron versus Michael Jordan. But that's not really what this fight is about. That argument has been running forever, and almost nobody is changing sides now. This one cuts deeper because it revolves around one label, chaser. More importantly, it asks who has the credibility to use that label. Shaq wasn't just fighting the accusation, he was challenging the jury. To understand why, look at what Barkley has been saying for years.
That ship is sailed. I've said this. The biggest criticism of LeBron James has always been that he packs his team, because he's always packed his team. Because he's chasing this imaginary Michael Jordan ghost.
His argument paints LeBron as somebody chasing an imaginary version of Michael Jordan. Almost like every major career move is another attempt to catch a ghost that never truly existed in the first place. That's where the criticism stops being about one season and starts becoming a judgment on LeBron's entire career. Then Barkley gets specific.
Yo, man, you always stacking your team. He stacked it in Miami. He stacked it in Cleveland. He stacked it in LA. Now he's stacking it in Philly.
4 cities become the evidence. Miami, Cleveland, LA, Philly. Say those names back to back and suddenly an opinion starts sounding like a pattern. That's the slick part of the argument.
I'm gonna still have the same criticism I've always had. He's always stacked his team. And people can say what they want to. I've always told people LeBron's the 3rd best player I've ever seen, behind Michael and Kobe.
Then comes the ranking, 3rd, behind Michael and Kobe. Notice how Barkley connects that ranking to the roster-building criticism without always spelling out every step. Put the 2 ideas next to each other long enough, and the audience starts connecting them on its own. The implication is clear. The teams LeBron played with affect where Barkley believes he belongs historically. But Barkley doesn't stop with basketball rankings. He has also gone after the people who strongly disagree with him.
You know, when you're dealing with LeBron and the Stepford wives, if you don't say he's the greatest, you could put like blasphemy.
Yeah.
His
I know.
If they're like stepper-wise. You have to say he's the greatest. He can't be the second. He can't be the third.
Ranking LeBron third is one thing. That's a basketball opinion. Dismissing LeBron's defenders as brainwashed turns it into something much more personal. And that's exactly why Shaq entering the argument matters.
Nobody ever said Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant was a nice guy. Now, LeBron's a nice guy. That to me like Michael and Kobe, they want to kill you at all costs. That's what separates them, in my opinion.
Barkley's broader criticism isn't only about jump shots, championships, or statistics. It's about mentality. In his view, the old school road demanded suffering first and success later.
One of the reasons I always give Michael the advantage is Michael got his head beat in by the Pistons and the Celtics before he finally no, I'm gonna get bigger, stronger, faster.
Michael Jordan had to battle through the bad boy Pistons and the Celtics before finally reaching the top. That's the path Barkley respects. The part hanging in the air is obvious. Michael took what Barkley sees as the harder road, while LeBron made different choices. That's the case Barkley has built across years of television appearances. Multiple clips, one central accusation, repeated with remarkable consistency. Whether people agree with it or not, he hasn't exactly been shy about where he stands. For a long time, that framing kept surviving every new debate. Then Shaq stepped into it with one sentence.
It's funny to me that people that don't have rings are saying, oh, he's a ring chaser. No, his continuance chasing. He's chasing the chance to continue to be great, to continue to add legacy to his book.
Shaq never even has to say Barkley's name. He doesn't need to, because suddenly the man yelling ring chaser the loudest becomes the easiest person in the room to point back at. After years of Barkley debating what LeBron James did or didn't earn, there's one number sitting underneath Barkley's own resume: 0 championships. And that's where things get uncomfortable, because Barkley once took a similar road himself. Late in his career, Barkley joined the Houston Rockets alongside Hakeem Olajuwon, a 2-time champion and one of the biggest forces in basketball. Barkley was chasing the one thing missing from his resume: a ring. That's not somebody else's move. That's Barkley's own history. And it's dangerously close to the same kind of move he spent years criticizing on television. But Shaq goes deeper than throwing an insult back. He changes the entire meaning of the word. In Shaq's framing, this isn't ring chasing, it's continuance chasing. Chasing makes it sound like somebody is desperately grabbing for something they haven't earned. Continuance sounds different. It means a legendary player knows the road is getting short, and he's trying to squeeze everything possible out of what's left. One word, completely different picture. Then comes the twist Barkley probably wasn't expecting. Shaq doesn't simply defend LeBron, he puts himself on trial. The man making the defense openly admits that, by Barkley's definition, he basically did the same thing. No hypothetical, no dancing around it. Shaq brings up his own career without anybody forcing him to.
I did it with Boston. After I won 3 in a row and then won 1 in Miami, hey, towards the end of my career, let me go play with Paul and KG and, be like the, 4th guy and rebound and set picks and, see if I can win one. And, that's what he's doing.
Remember the resume: 3 straight championships in Los Angeles, then another in Miami. 4 rings. Shaq had absolutely nothing left to prove. Yet near the end, he went to Boston and played alongside Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. He wasn't arriving as the unstoppable centerpiece anymore. He was rebounding, setting picks, doing the dirty work, and seeing whether there was enough left in the tank for one more run. By Barkley's definition, that's ring chasing. And Shaq basically owns it before connecting it straight back to LeBron, and that's what he's doing. Think about why that admission hits so hard. Shaq's entire public image was built around dominance. At his peak, he was the giant nobody wanted to deal with. Yet to make this argument, Shaq reaches back to one of the least glamorous chapters of his career, the version of himself setting screens inside somebody else's offense, and puts that chapter right on the table. He isn't saying LeBron is innocent under Barkley's definition. His argument is closer to, plenty of great players have done this, and that makes the accusation much harder to throw around like it's some unique stain on LeBron's career. Even the money complicates the story. If the reported figures are accurate, we're talking about a massive drop from what LeBron had been earning in Los Angeles. That's not exactly the easiest evidence for a greed argument, and Philadelphia carries its own championship drought, which makes the idea of choosing an effortless path harder to sell. There's another pattern worth remembering. When LeBron returned to Cleveland, that city had waited decades for a major professional sports championship, and he helped end that drought in 2016. So the ring chaser label doesn't automatically tell the whole story. Sometimes LeBron has joined talented teams, absolutely. But he's also walked into enormous pressure and delivered when entire cities were waiting for something historic. Then LeBron's own words make this story even heavier. This is my last decision. Not going for money, not going for family. What am I really playing for at this point? Barkley hears somebody still chasing a ghost. Shaq hears something much more human. And this is where the whole debate gets darker. Shaq has already lived through the ending. He knows what happens when the crowds disappear, the schedule disappears, and suddenly the game that controlled your entire life isn't waiting for you tomorrow. So listen carefully to how he describes LeBron's future.
You know and I know when this thing is over, it's over. You can't come back. Once you retire, once your body says, I can't go no more, it's over. This guy feels he has 2-3 years left. Why not try to get another championship? I did it.
Shaq says LeBron feels like he has 2 or 3 years left. Feels, not knows. Because athletes don't get a perfect countdown clock. There isn't always some clean warning telling you exactly when it's over. Sometimes the body makes that call first. One season you're still competing, and then suddenly the knees, recovery, or exhaustion start answering questions your mind doesn't want answered. LeBron has openly wrestled with that possibility before. He has talked about evaluating whether he still wants to keep playing and whether that competitive fire is still there. That's the part the ring-chasing argument can flatten into something way too simple. It turns a complicated decision about age, identity, competition, and the final years of a legendary career into nothing more than appetite. A superstar collecting trophies because he can't stop chasing them. What Shaq is really describing isn't a chase, it's a countdown. A 41-year-old player staring at the end of the road, wondering whether he's truly finished, then coming back because walking away means never finding out what he had left. Barkley's version sees somebody stacking the deck. Shaq's version sees somebody who can hear the clock getting louder.
Listen, even if LeBron doesn't win, LeBron's still 1, 2, or 3 in people's eyes.
Now put that next to Barkley's ranking, and the clash is complete. Barkley says 3rd behind Michael and Kobe. Full stop, he's not moving. Shaq says 1, 2, or 3. And to him, the exact number isn't even the point. The point is that another ring doesn't suddenly decide LeBron's entire legacy. Barkley's case is that another loaded roster would look like one more legacy grab. Shaq's answer is basically that the legacy is already written. Another championship might add another chapter, but it doesn't erase everything that came before. And losing wouldn't suddenly wipe away decades of greatness either. If Shaq's argument is right, then what exactly is left for LeBron to chase? That's where these two completely split. Barkley has spent years looking at LeBron's career and seeing calculated advantages. Super teams, stacked rosters, easier roads, and a player forever being measured against Michael Jordan. 3rd best, nice guy, different mentality. That's Barkley's picture. Shaq looks at the same career and sees something else entirely. He sees an aging superstar trying to squeeze every last game out of basketball before his body finally says, that's enough. He sees somebody who has already accomplished almost everything possible but still can't completely walk away from competition. Same career, same decades of basketball, 2 completely different interpretations. And that's why this was never only about LeBron James. It's about who gets to decide what his choices actually mean. Charles Barkley sees a ring chaser. Shaquille O'Neal sees a man running out of time. And when 2 legends with completely different championship histories look at the same player and see opposite stories, that's when the debate gets spicy. So now I want to hear your take. If you think Shaq is right and this is about continuing the ride rather than chasing another ring, hit that like button. If you think Barkley has a point and stacking a roster is still stacking a roster regardless of age, drop your argument in the comments and tell me exactly where you draw the line. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to the channel and share this video with somebody who always has something to say about LeBron, because debates like this aren't disappearing anytime soon. And when the next chapter hits, we'll be right here breaking it down. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.